Chapter 74. In a room appearing like all the others, Jeff hurled a chair against the window. It bounced off, but the violence felt good. It invigorated him. It was something. It was better than nothing. Even if we break the glass, Donald reasoned, we're on the second floor. How are we going to make it down? Maybe we could use the bed sheets, tie them together like a rope. I don't know. Jeff seized with anger. He hoped it didn't leak out too much with Donald. He usually tried not to show anger, except for the hospital janitor. Jeff didn't hurt people out of anger. Even when he had been bullied as a child, he mostly ignored the boys, got help from his teachers, and sometimes ran away so no one would get hurt. We just need to find a way out. What if we need to stay? He narrowed his eyes. Why do you keep saying that? Donald considered. Suppose we're here to learn something. Maybe it's a hospital, not for the body, but for the soul. Jeff picked up the microwave oven he had brought from the kitchenette, backed up to the door, and began running at the window. Howling with deranged glee, he threw it forward when he got close. The window vibrated upon impact. The microwave fell to the floor, and its door broke off at the hinges. He breathed. There's nothing wrong with our souls. I feel distant from you, Donald said, dispirited. We should be closer. Jeff stepped back and looked at the big man like he was nuts. You're not helping. Maybe I'd be more of a pal if you'd put some backbone into escaping. But Jeff wasn't sure he wanted to be closer to Donald. He didn't exactly like the man. In fact, the idea of getting closer disturbed Jeff. His muscles were pumped and hard. This felt vitalizing. Sleeping long term wasn't what made the body drive. He picked up the microwave, stepped all the way outside to the back wall of the hall, ran forward through the doorway, past Donald, across the room, hurtling the microwave into the glass. But he only succeeded at vibrating it, creating a low humming until it stilled. Damn glass is strong. Yeah, Donald agreed. Bone strong. Bone strong? He shrugged. It's just an expression. We could sure use some of those dark blobs you used to throw. Yeah, that would be nice. Donald steadied his hands as though recalling the power he used to wield. He massaged his right wrist. That would be nice. A slight smile skewed his face, and he chuckled. Jeff looked at his watch. 3:50 a.m. Let's get back. I'm beginning to worry about the girls. Good idea. Laura's sure to be awake now. Jeff wasn't so positive, but they headed back down the hall. He realized as they came to the next intersection that he didn't remember which direction led to Laura's room. They should have left some kind of a trail. He cursed himself for not thinking of this before. He was a psychotherapist, though, not a secret agent who was supposed to know all these things. But even Hansel and Gretel in the children's story remembered to leave breadcrumbs through the forest to find their way out. He just hadn't conceived it would be this difficult to find a corner and subsequently a stairwell. He looked at Donald. Jeff shouldn't be the one thinking of everything. Why didn't Donald leave a trail? Just who was this guy? He didn't seem to be helping. Of all things, he suggested staying here. Was he part of the research team? He had hated Laura in the dream world. Did this hate spring from her betrayal of the project? Donald could have deceived everyone when he had attributed his hate to Laura's threat. Was it a type of staff rivalry instead? Donald wanting to be in Malik's favor? Jeff identified that he might be paranoid, but he was infuriated and didn't have a substantial outlet for his anger other than paranoia. Donald looked at him. Thick eyebrows weighed with innocence on the outer edges. "Well?" Jeff asked. "Yes, well." "Was it this way?" Jeff pointed to the right. "Was it?" "Or this way?" He pointed to the left. Donald shrugged. "I thought you knew where you were going." Jeff groaned. "We could use Grazé." "Yes, we could." "Can you say anything else besides what I say?" "Just how did that dog get back here with us? I thought only humans dream." Jeff shook his head. "Dogs dream too." "Are we in heaven, reality, or an experiment of the soul? Perhaps Project X is to strengthen all of us, including Laura. She might simply be a subject, just like us." Now Jeff wished the man didn't have any original thoughts. "Let's go right. I think it was right." They started down the hall. When they came to the first intersection, they had three choices: continuing straight, going left, or right. Donald looked at Jeff. "I don't know, left? I guess it's better than just standing here." Jeff wondered if that were true. Looking at the sea blue floor, his mind began to deliberate possibilities. Who killed Charlie? Charlie wasn't supposed to die, according to Laura. Did Donald have something to do with Charlie's death? The muscle man had been wandering the halls when they found him. Maybe he had wandered into Charlie's room first and murdered him. Jeff scrutinized Donald, and a chill ran through him. The big man looked silly, but maybe that was just a well-constructed facade. "What kind of work do you do?" Jeff asked. Donald looked perplexed. "Work?" "For income, football player, construction worker, bouncer, guard." "Oh, right, work. Yes. Well, I was unemployed for the last few months, laid off from a part-time math teacher position at Fullerton College." "Math? I would have never guessed." Donald nodded quickly. "Yep, calculus." Was Donald lying? It sure did seem like it. Though if he had worked for Project X, Laura would have said something. That is, unless he was kept secret from her. Or maybe she couldn't say anything. She had kept the truth from Jeff before. Maybe revealing Donald's identity earlier would have endangered them. "Know any equations to help us get out?" Donald smiled and scratched his head. Louder, he asked. "Know any equations at all?" A long pause. "A squared plus B squared equals C squared." This didn't comfort Jeff. Many people could recite the Pythagorean theorem equation. He needed Laura awake to get to the truth. They began down the left hall. These halls were all lit with the same intensity, with no identifying features which differentiated one from another. It was like they were in a man-made forest of corridors and rooms. Every once in a while, like now, there would be a red exit sign hanging from the ceiling, pointing to a dead end. The scene ahead was different, though. Below the sign, resting on the floor, was something black. Jeff hurried to it. It was a Bible. He picked it up and looked through the book for more highlighted passages, maybe a clue of some kind. But this book had no highlights. "Another Bible?" Donald asked. "Yeah. Near an exit sign. Donald walked to the right, where the sign pointed into a 6-foot-long corridor with no door, elevator, paintings, or decorations. He pushed on the walls with his giant hands, using all his weight. "You're searching for a secret passage? Why else would they have these odd areas? It's a waste of space unless they lead somewhere." "Why do they leave Bibles laying around? Nothing makes sense." Donald grunted as he pushed harder. "Let's get moving. We're wasting time. That's probably why they have the signs." Coming up on the next hall, which bisected theirs, Jeff heard something. Listening closer, he identified it as a scuffling noise. He stopped walking and held his hand out for Donald to stop. He put his index finger to his mouth to silence the big man. They crept to the edge of the intersection, and Jeff cupped his ears to catch sound better. Nothing. Whatever it was quiet now. He wondered if someone had heard them walking. That was improbable since they were barefoot. More likely their talking had given them away. But perhaps throwing the microwave oven against the window was heard earlier. It did make a lot of racket. Jeff almost wished the staff had heard him so he could get some answers, interrogate someone on what the hell was going on in this hospital. But no one would tell him the truth. And if Donald was a part of the project, Jeff would be at risk of being overpowered by 2 men and sent back to Dreamland. He waited a minute just in case the person started up again. He hoped it was human. He wasn't sure he could handle a creature that was mutated by genetic experiments, with 4 red eyes, porcupine spikes over its body, and claws like razors, standing on 3 legs. Silence. Donald inched forward to look around the bend. Jeff held him back. Then, just when Jeff thought it might be safe, more scuffling, quieter than before, like the thing wanted to be able to listen for their movement. He looked at Donald. White fear colored the man's face, eyes wide. Did Donald know what was around the corner? Was this a trap for Jeff? Or was it a danger to both of them which Donald was aware of because he had helped create it? Jeff felt his heart accelerating. The scuttling was closer and more frantic. Whatever it was coming. It didn't sound like Graze's claws either. He wished for the small, furry, annoying dog now. Had the creature around the corner smelled them? Perhaps it didn't need to rely on sound, and simply their presence was enough to give them away. Jeff had a bad case of the heebie-jeebies. This hospital was getting way too strange. If there hadn't been Bibles in fridges, simmering in hot water, burning in ovens, laying in half the rooms, and a sandal in a microwave, if there had been easily navigated hallways, which eventually led to corners and elevators and stairwells, if there had been windows that could be broken, if Charlie hadn't died, if there had been exit signs truly leading to exits, he would have felt much better. This place was insane. He didn't want to, but he moved his head around the corner to investigate. If the thing had eyes, it would surely spot him, but he had to observe the nature of it to know the best course of action. At first, he couldn't believe what he saw. It didn't seem probable, logical, or reasonable. Not far down the corridor, a skinny man with white hair draping his body was walking on all four limbs. He only wore white briefs. His toenails and fingernails were at least an inch longer than the bones. The man spotted Jeff immediately and froze, head held high, sniffing. The man began to meow. Meow? Okay, enough was enough. Why was a man meowing? Jeff was ready to walk up to the hairy man and begin interrogation. At this point, Donald also looked around the corner, sweat in the creases of his brows. The mews escalated in intensity, volume, and delivery. The Catman arched his back, bared his teeth, claws attempting to penetrate the floor. Donald stepped back and whispered, "Maybe we took a wrong turn somewhere." "You think?" Suddenly, the man began looping forward, more animal-like than human. A spattering of caterwauls and hisses shot from his clenched jaws. That was enough for Jeff. He retreated with Donald, turning into the first room and shutting the door behind them, engaging the flimsy lock and holding the knob with both hands in case the Catman was able to bypass the lock.